I'm Melissa Griffin, a columnist who writes about San Francisco city politics. I'm also a member of the San Francisco League of Women Voters. I'm here today at City Hall, along with the League and SF Gov TV, to discuss Proposition H that will be on this year's November ballot. Proposition H would make it official city policy to encourage the San Francisco Unified School District to establish certain priorities for assigning students to specific schools. Currently, parents may apply for their children to attend any school in the school district. If a school does not have space for all applicants, the school district admits students based on certain priorities, such as whether their older siblings attend the same school, whether the student lives in the school's attendance area, or whether the student's elementary school is a designated feeder school for the middle school. Proposition H would make it city policy to encourage the school district to ensure that all students have the opportunity to attend a quality neighborhood school. After assigning siblings to the same school, the highest priority should be to assign each student to the school closest to their home. And finally, the school district should provide students with the opportunity to attend schools with language immersion or other special programs, even if those schools are not close to their homes. I'm here with Chris Miller, the chairperson of Students First, a group that sponsored Proposition H. Ms. Miller, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Why should voters vote for Proposition H?
Well, for starters, the reason that Proposition H was adopted to begin with is roughly 14,000 signatures from San Francisco County voters that also, as I do, feel passionately about children being able to attend schools near their neighborhoods. It makes sense. Everyone automatically assumes that a child attends a school near their neighborhood, or at least has the option to. But in San Francisco, as we know from previous policies and different things within government here, San Francisco is special. So San Francisco is definitely special in this respect, that we have not followed suit with many other major metropolitan cities and allowed parents the right to automatically opt into their neighborhood schools. And San Francisco has been having issues with this policy for years. There are thousands of parents who have left the city, in fact over 5,000 since the 2000 census. Since the mid-1960s, we've lost half, a little under half of our student population, and this is one of the major reasons why. Proposition H is basically simply proposing that parents or children within certain neighborhood school areas are given the option of sending their children to the to the school in closest proximity to their home. That's all we're proposing, nothing more, just that within the current citywide lottery system, that parents are given the option of sending their children to a school near their home as opposed to being bused across town, wherever the school system or the school district decides that children are going to be bused to or driven to by their parents. So that's basically the premise of Prop H.
Opponents of Prop H have argued that the current school assignment system does give substantial weight to a child's geographic location when assigning them to a school.
Sure.
How do you respond to that allegation?
Very simply. One, that comment is not factually based because it's false. So roughly 30% of parents in the city, according to the school district, we're not sure if these are accurate numbers because they're not willing to publish how they came to these numbers, but roughly 30% of the parents in the San Francisco Unified School District are opting to send their children to their neighborhood school. And for some reason, they are not able to honor that, seemingly small number of parents. The fourth consideration, so out of 4 considerations for the placement system within the current SFUSD, neighborhood proximity is the 4th. In most cases, within many different school districts, it doesn't come into consideration because the schools are full by the time they get to that 4th neighborhood proximity consideration. Not only that, but that's only for elementary school placement. In middle school and high school, this consideration has been completely taken away. There is absolutely no consideration whatsoever. It's a citywide lottery system, period. So that statement is false. It is not true. I just gave you the facts. If anyone wants to look it up on their own, it's right on the SFUSD website. So it's pretty simple.
Opponents of Proposition H have also argued that keeping children in their neighborhoods will lead to gentrification. in the city of San Francisco. How do you respond to that argument?
So first of all, I'll respond to the argument, and then I'll tell you what keeping children in their neighborhoods will actually lead to from a factual perspective, not from some hypothetical perspective that's not based on actual statistics and numbers. If you look at the statistics from the current policies within the SFUSD that do not focus heavily on a neighborhood school-based placement system, in the last 10 years, we've actually been moving further and further towards segregation within our school district. So the interesting thing is the current system does not focus heavily on neighborhood school proximity, and the reason for that is to keep the school diverse and to give children more opportunity in areas with underperforming schools that would not otherwise have the opportunity to go to a school that was, a higher performing school. But right now, we actually have a huge issue with schools resegregating in the last 10 years. So if their current policies are resegregating the schools in San Francisco, one would presume that if parents and voters in the city vote to change that policy, that if we're asking for the opposite of what they are, presumably we're going to be either improving the situation, or at worst case scenario, it's going to stay the same. Mm-hmm. So from a fact-based perspective, that allegation makes no sense. Mm-hmm. So.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Miller.
Absolutely.
Up next, we'll hear from an opponent of Proposition H. I'm now with Rachel Norton from the San Francisco Board of Education. The Board of Education of San Francisco recently voted unanimously to oppose Proposition H. Ms. Norton, thanks for being here. Why do you oppose Proposition H?
I oppose it for several reasons. First, it's not well written and it has a lot of unintended consequences. But primarily I oppose it because it is a very simplistic way of dealing with a very complex problem. I've been working on student assignment both as a parent for many years. I put my kids through the process. I talk to parents across the city as a candidate for public office. And since I was elected to the board has spent the last 2.5 years working on a new student assignment policy. And I have to tell you, it is the most complex problem I have ever worked on in my personal or professional life. And I don't think that it's the kind of thing that can be resolved by a voter checking a yes or a no on a ballot box.
Recent census numbers show that families with small children have been leaving the city in record numbers. And some people would argue that our current school assignment system has something to do with that. Do you believe that the current system is working?
I do think the current system is working. As I said, we spent a lot of time and a lot of money, a lot of district resources redesigning the system because we knew that we had a problem. And one of the things that we tried to address was balancing the needs of parents. There are parents in parts of the city that don't feel that they don't have access to high-performing schools. And while we work on the schools across the city, we want to give everybody access to all schools and to quality schools. In addition, a lot of families told us that they wanted more predictability in school assignments. And I do think that the predictability issue is something that parents have, that may frighten parents of young children. So we revised it and we added a proximity component and a predictability component that I think has addressed those concerns while still giving parents access to high-performing schools wherever they want them to be.
Now, Proposition H is merely a statement of policy. What do you think will be the actual practical effect if Proposition H passes?
Quite honestly, I don't think there is going to be much of a practical effect because the school board has been very, very clear, and I'm being very clear with the voters now that this is the direction that we are going, that we have spent a lot of time and a lot of effort sifting through data, talking to people, looking at what other districts do, it's looking at our census data, at our having demographic projections, and we think as we monitor the system going forward that it's flexible, we can make changes and respond to trends, but we think that we're moving in the right directions. And even the proponents of this ballot measure, I will say, have said we're going in the right direction on student assignment.
Well, thank you so much. We hope that this has been informative. For additional information about this or other ballot measures, visit the San Francisco League of Women Voters website at sfvotes.org. Early voting is available at City Hall Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you don't vote early, be sure to vote on November 8th. Thank you.